Embrace this core truth. From a spiritual perspective, every being is designed to evolve. Growth pulses at the heart of all creation. Nothing in existence is meant to remain unchanged. Change is the heartbeat of life. A seed is destined to become more, a child to grow, and you to transform beyond who you once were. When you hold a seed, you cradle pure possibility. Inside that seed sleeps a whole forest. If it refuses to grow, the world is deprived of fruit, the earth of shade, and the future of breath. In the same way, if you resist growth, the world misses out on the treasure within you. This is your sacred duty, to outgrow your past for the sake of your purpose and destiny. When a child outgrows their clothes, parents rejoice, for growth has arrived. So many of us try to squeeze back into the habits, attitudes, relationships, and mindsets we have outgrown. The discomfort is a signal. They no longer fit the person you are becoming. Who you were last year does not define your limits. Your future self is not defined by who you were yesterday. Your life is a continual unfolding of potential. Your life is a story of potential unfolding. Page by page, pause and reflect. The true tragedy is not death, but living unchanged, never meeting the greater self God planted within you. Growth always asks for a price. You can't grow and stay. You cannot grow and remain comfortable. Here lies a vital crossroads. Comfort zones suffocate dreams. Choose comfort over calling, and destiny is buried. Choose discomfort, and you choose to grow. Step into destiny. So remember, your past does not define you. The roles you have played, the mistakes you have made, and the failures you have carried, recognize that these are not your identity. Rather, they were assignments, seasons, or lessons, but not definitions. This distinction liberates you to move forward. Who you are is far greater than where you have been. Look at the trees. Every autumn, they shed their leaves, not because they are dead, but because they're preparing for a new life. Some of you are holding on to people, places, and patterns that are only meant for a past season. If you don't let them fall, you cannot embrace the fruit of the next season. You cannot carry yesterday into tomorrow. Your growth is not just about you. This leads to a broader truth. There are people waiting on the other side of your obedience. There are generations tied to your transformation. When you refuse to grow, you are not just failing yourself. In truth, the impact is broader than you think. Failing to grow doesn't just fail you, it fails you. It fails those who would benefit from your fruit. Growth is life. Stagnation is decay. A relationship that stops growing begins to die. A mind that stops growing begins to decay. A life that resists growth becomes a prisoner of mediocrity. Growth is the remedy. Dare to outgrow yourself. Find freedom, fulfillment, and fruitfulness. Be a pioneer, not a captive. Refuse to settle for your former self. Don't be confined by last year. Don't keep wearing shoes that are too small for your feet because the world is waiting for the greater version of you. Your future is calling for the higher version of you, and God is depending on you to become everything He designed you to be. So rise up, shed the old, embrace the new, and outgrow who you used to be, because you owe it to yourself to become who you were born to be. The seed is the most powerful symbol of potential. When you look at a seed, it looks small, insignificant, and ordinary. But inside that tiny package is an entire future. An orchard, a forest, a harvest. The seed carries more than itself. It carries generations within it. It was never designed to remain a seed. It was designed to break open, to be buried, to grow, and to become something far greater than what it looks like on the surface. And so it is with you. You are a seed of possibility. Within you are untapped ideas, dreams, books, businesses, and lives to touch. If you refuse to stretch beyond your current condition, all of that remains locked inside. The seed must be willing to leave its comfort. It cannot fulfill its destiny while sitting on a shelf, protected and preserved. It must go into the ground, into the dark, into a place where it seems hidden and forgotten. But it is in that process of the burial that the miracle of growth begins. Likewise, in your own life, there will be seasons when it feels like you are buried, when no one sees you, and when nothing seems to be happening, when you are in the dark. Yet, understand this pivotal transition. You are not buried to die. You are buried to grow. The tragedy is not when a seed is planted. The tragedy is when a seed is never planted at all, and the same is true for us. The greatest tragedy is not death, but to live your whole life and never become the tree you were destined to be. You were not born to remain the same. You were born to multiply, to increase, to expand, and to make an impact for beyond yourself. The seed teaches us that small beginnings should never be despised. The greatest trees begin as the tiniest seeds. Your current condition does not define your future capacity. Where you are is not the measure of where you can be. However, as you reflect, the seed also teaches us the importance of responsibility. You cannot blame the soil, the weather, or the environment indefinitely. Growth is embedded in your design. As a child grows, their shoes and clothes become constricting, and old toys lose their appeal. This is natural. Growth demands change, and change requires release. Outgrowing is simply proof that development has taken place. The danger arises when a person tries to squeeze into what they have already surpassed. Imagine a grown adult attempting to wear shoes from childhood. It would appear absurd, uncomfortable, and even painful. Many people do the same thing in life. They keep trying to fit into old relationships, environments, habits, and ways of thinking that no longer match who they are becoming. Some friendships will no longer carry the same weight. There are environments that once served you, but now limit yourself. There are behaviors that once satisfied you, but now disturb your spirit. This is not a sign of arrogance or disloyalty. It is evidence that you are maturing. Outgrowing does not mean you reject your past. It means you honor it by not staying stuck in it. Think of the caterpillar. It cannot remain caterpillar forever. It must go through the struggle of transformation to become a butterfly. If it insists on staying the same, it will die crawling when it was designed to fly. In the same way, you are not meant to live your life in one form forever. What satisfied you at one stage will no longer satisfy you in the next. What was acceptable in one season becomes a burden in the next. Outgrowing is not a betrayal. Instead, it is a sign of alignment. You are aligning with the greater version of yourself. Recognize this choice ahead. Staying where you are may keep others comfortable, but it will leave you frustrated. Every time you ignore the urge to grow, you suffocate the seed of destiny within you. The uneasiness you feel when old patterns the uneasiness you feel when old patterns fail is life's signal to expand, shift, and move forward. The truth is, if you don't allow yourself to outgrow, you'll live a life too small for your calling. It's like trying to fit into shoes that no longer fit. Potential is one of the most misunderstood gifts we carry. Potential means that no matter how much you have achieved, there is still more inside of you. It is the untapped capacity, the unused strength, the hidden ability waiting to be discovered. Too often, people mistake a little progress for completion. As long as you live, your potential grows. Potential is never final. A tree never stops producing fruit. As long as it is healthy, every season brings new branches, leaves, and harvests. Last year's fruit isn't your limit. More remains within. Yesterday's achievements are not the end. Many retire their ambition too soon, mistaking past success for their final chapter. Potential means you are always transitioning toward what you've yet to become. Success is never a resting place. It is only a platform for greater growth. Think about an athlete. Winning one championship does not mean they have exhausted their talent. It only proves what is possible. The same skill that carried them to one victory can be sharpened to achieve another. In the same way, the fact that you have done something before, this is not proof that you are finished. It is evidence that there is even more within you. Every day you wake up, you carry untapped possibilities. There are books inside you that have not been written, songs that have not been sung, businesses that have not been started, ideas that have not been released. Your destiny's greatest adversary is not failure, but the belief that you've arrived. The moment you think you are finished, you bury your potential alive. It's up to you to stretch, to keep pressing forward, to refuse to settle, because no matter how much you have grown, there is still more in you. And until your last breath, you are still carrying potential that has not yet been revealed. Comfort feels safe. Comfort feels easy. Comfort feels familiar. But comfort is also deceptive because it convinces you that where you are is enough, when in reality, you were created for more. Calling is never found in a place of comfort. Calling is always pulling you into the unknown, stretching you beyond what feels manageable, demanding that you trust in something bigger than yourself. Every great person you admire had to choose between comfort and calling. Esther had to confer heaven to fulfill the calling of the cross. Comfort whispers, "Stay here." Even a great person you admire had to choose between the comfort of heaven to fulfill the calling of the cross. Esther had to confront Pharaoh in the comfort of heaven. To call Peter Phillips, Esther had to step into confirmation of heaven to call Peter Phillips. Calling declares there is more in you. Get up, and go. The truth is, comfort zones are not safe zones. They are a slow death. You stop dreaming. You stop risking. You stop stretching. And little by little, you stop living. The chair may feel soft, but if it is too long, it becomes a trap. Calling, on the other hand, may feel uncomfortable at first. It will challenge you. It will test you. It would break routines you've depended on. But it will also awaken you, energize you, and bring you into alignment with the reason you were born. Your destiny is not on the easy path. It is in the narrow path, the one that demands faith, courage, and persistence. That's why so many people miss it. They are unwilling to trade temporary ease for eternal significance. Yet, every step you take toward your calling, no matter how uncomfortable, it brings you closer to fulfillment. While every decision to remain comfortable keeps you small, stagnant, and unfulfilled, there will always be a tension between where you are and where you are meant to be. The question is, which voice will you obey? The voice of comfort telling you to stay small, or the voice of calling, urging you to rise higher? Comfort gives you rest, but calling gives you purpose, and purpose will give your life meaning that comfort can never provide. Your identity is the unchanging essence of who you are, but your assignment is the role you carry in a particular season. The two are connected, yet they are not the same. If you confuse them, you will spend your life trapped in titles, labels, and positions, thinking that what you do defines who you are, but who you are is greater than what you do. Your worth is not in your job, your ministry, your role as a parent, or even in your achievements. Your worth is in your very being, in the purpose that was placed inside you before you ever had an assignment to carry out. Assignments shift. A student one day becomes a graduate. An employee one day becomes an entrepreneur. Single person one day becomes a spouse. Then later a parent, and eventually perhaps a grandparent. Every season brings new assignments, but none of them fully capture who you are. You are not your degree. You are not your title. You are not your paycheck. And you are not your mistakes. Those are expressions of your life at a moment in time, not the definition of your existence. When you tie your identity to your assignment, you risk collapse every time a change comes. If your sense of self is rooted in a position, then when the position ends, you will feel like you have ended. 2. That's why so many people fall into despair when they retire, lose a job, or see a relationship close. They think they have lost themselves, when in truth they have only lost an assignment. But when you understand that identity stands apart from assignment, you can embrace change without losing stability. A tree is still a tree in winter. Even when it has no leaves, its assignment in that season is to rest and prepare, but its identity has not changed. When spring comes, it blossoms again. The same is true for you. In one season, you may be building. In another, you may be resting. In another, you may be leading. And in another, you may be learning. But in every season, you are still carrying the same purpose within you. Even your failures are assignments, not identity. Falling does not make you a failure. It makes you human. Losing does not make you a loser. It makes you wiser. Those were experiences meant to shape you, not define you. Likewise, even your successes are not your identity. Winning an award, building a company, or gaining recognition may be an assignment for a season. But when those things fade, your true self remains. Freedom comes when you understand this distinction. You stop clinging to old seasons because you know they do not define you. You stop fearing new opportunities because stepping into them does not erase who you are. You stop living for applause because whether people recognize you or not, your identity is intact. You are not valuable because of your role. Your role is valuable because of the person you are. The greatest battlefield of your life is not around you. It is within you. Your thoughts shape your reality. What you constantly dwell on eventually becomes the blueprint for how you live. If your mind is stuck in the past, your life will remain trapped in the old patterns. If your thoughts are small, your decisions will be small. If your perspective is broken, this is why transformation does not begin with changing your circumstances. It begins with changing your mind. Renewing the mind means challenging the old narratives that no longer serve you. It means confronting the lies you have believed about yourself, that you are not enough, that you are unworthy, that you cannot rise beyond where you are. Our renewal is the process of replacing those destructive patterns with truth, with vision, with hope, Every breakthrough in life starts with a new way of thinking. Before you walk into a new season, you must think on the level of that new season. Consider this. If you pour new wine into an old wineskin, the skin bursts because it cannot handle what is fresh. In the same way, you cannot step into a greater life with the same old mindset. You cannot build a future with the thoughts that kept you chained to your past. If you want to grow, you must reprogram your mind to align with your purpose. Renewing the mind is not a one-time act. It is a daily discipline. Every morning, you wake up and you are either rehearsing the thoughts that limit you or choosing new thoughts that liberate you. Renewal happens when you are intentional about what you feed your mind. The books you read, the conversations you engage in, the voices you listen to, and the environments you expose yourself to are all shaping your mental landscape. If you want to elevate your life, you must elevate the quality of your thoughts. Life will never rise higher than your mindset. That is why two people can face the same challenge and have completely different outcomes. One sees an obstacle, the other sees an opportunity. One sees defeat, the other sees a lesson. The difference is not in the problem. It is in the mind. Renewing the mind gives you the ability to see possibilities where others see limitations, to find hope where others see despair, to stand in faith where others collapse in fear. The mind is like soil. Whatever you plant, and it will grow. If you sow negativity, fear, and doubt, you will reap a harvest of defeat. If you sow vision, faith, and courage, you will reap a harvest of progress. Renewal is not simply about removing bad thoughts. It is about planting new ones and nurturing them until they reshape the way you see yourself and the world around you. Every living thing understands the principle of shedding. Trees drop their leaves not because they are dying, but because they are making room for the next cycle of growth. Snakes shed their skin because the layer can no longer stretch to contain their growth. Even the human body sheds cells daily so that new ones can replace them. Shedding is not loss. It is preparation. It is nature's way of saying what was once useful, it has now served its purpose. It's time to release it. Your life works the same way. There will come moments when you feel the pull to release relationships, habits, environments, or even ways of thinking that no longer fit where you are going. At first, shedding feels uncomfortable because it requires letting go of the familiar. But if you refuse to shed, you become trapped in layers that no longer serve you. Just like a tree that clings to dead leaves, you end up carrying weight that blocks new life from forming. Shedding is often misunderstood. People will say, "You have changed," and they are right. You are not meant to say the same. A friendship that was right for one stage of your life may become a burden in another. A job that once provided stability may later feel like a cage. Habit that once brought comfort may eventually bring stagnation. This does not mean you dishonor the past. It means you honor it enough to recognize that it was temporary. You cannot embrace the next version of yourself if your hands are still clinging to the last one. The shedding also teaches trust. The tree does not panic when it drops its leaves. It does not cry out, "What if they never come back?" It simply trusts that after winter will come spring, and with spring will come new life. In the same way, you must trust that when you release what no longer fits, something greater will take its place. The release is not the end. It is the doorway to renewal. Some of you are holding on to expired versions of yourself because you fear emptiness. But emptiness is not always a curse. Sometimes it is the womb of transformation. When you shed, you create space for new opportunities, space for new wisdom, space for new connections, space for the person you are becoming. What looks like loss is often an investment into your next season of fruitfulness. The question is not whether you will face seasons of shedding. The question is whether you will resist them or embrace them, because resisting only prolongs the pain, but embracing accelerates the growth. Shedding is not about abandoning your past. It is about aligning with your future. It is not rejection of what was, but acceptance of what is to come. Destiny is never just about you. The gifts, the vision, the wisdom, the opportunities placed inside of you were never meant to end with you. They were designed to flow through you to others. When you step into your purpose, you don't just fulfill your own life. You become a solution, a light, a bridge for someone else. This is why accountability to destiny matters. To refuse growth is not only to cheat yourself, but to rob everyone who is meant to benefit from what you carry. Think about a fruit tree. It does not eat its own fruit. The sweetness it produces is for others. Its shade is for others. Its wood, its seeds, its oxygen. Everything it provides is for the environment around it. In the same way, your life is designed to produce something beyond yourself. Your potential is not a private possession. It is a public responsibility. There are people tied to your obedience, and there are generations connected to your growth. When you delay your destiny, you delay someone else's breakthrough. When you settle for less, someone else goes without the inspiration, the guidance, or the help that your life was supposed to provide. Your growth is a matter of stewardship. You are a custodian of what was placed inside you, and stewardship requires accountability. To waste your potential is to waste more than your life. It is to deny others access to the gift that was meant to be received through you. This is why excuses cannot be your lifestyle. Fear cannot be your master. Comfort cannot be your refuge. Because while you are hiding, someone is waiting. While you are hesitating, someone is searching. While you are shrinking back, someone is struggling. Who could be set free if you simply stepped into who you were born to be? Accountability to destiny means understanding that your choices ripple beyond you. Look at history. Every person who answered their calling shifted more than their own story. Inventors changed industries. Leaders changed nations. Teachers shaped generations. Visionaries opened paths for others to walk on. They were not perfect, but they were willing. Their willingness to grow became the foundation for others to stand upon. The same principle applies to you. You are someone's answer. You are someone's example. You are someone's open door. This is why mediocrity is dangerous. To live beneath your potential is not humility, it is neglect. To downplay your gift is not modesty, it is irresponsible. Accountability to destiny means you take your life seriously because you know it was never given to you for your benefit. Alone, you are a steward of time, of opportunities, of gifts, and of influence. One day, you will have to answer for what you did with what was placed inside you. You owe it to yourself, yes, but you also owe it to the child watching you, to the friend beside you, to the stranger who will one day encounter the fruit of your labor. When you understand that growth stops being optional, it becomes an obligation, not a burden, but a holy responsibility. Because destiny is never just about you. It is about everyone connected to you. Stagnation is one of the most subtle yet dangerous enemies of purpose. It doesn't always announce itself loudly. It creeps in quietly, disguising itself as comfort, routine, or even stability. At first, it feels harmless. Nothing seems to be wrong. Nothing seems to be falling apart. But over time, stagnation drains your passion, dulls your vision, and robs you of momentum. What you refuse to grow beyond eventually becomes the prison that traps you. Anything that stops moving eventually decays. A river that ceases to flow becomes polluted and toxic. Muscles that are not exercised become weak. A mind that is not challenged becomes narrow and rigid. In the same way, when you stop stretching, stop learning, and stop pushing yourself, your life begins to wither. You may not notice it immediately, but slowly your fire fades, your hope weakens, and your joy diminishes. Stagnation is not rest. It is a slow death. The danger of stagnation is that it convinces you that survival is enough. You tell yourself, at least I'm not going backward, while ignoring the truth that standing, it is still also a form of decline. Life was never meant to be static. Seasons change, people grow, and opportunities evolve. If you remain the same while everything around you is moving, you are actually falling behind. What you call safety is really erosion. Stagnation also blinds you to possibilities. When you get too comfortable in one place, you stop seeing the doors that are opening around you. You become so fixated on maintaining what you have that you missed. What you could have. You settle for the familiar even when it no longer satisfies you. And the longer you stay stagnant, the harder it becomes to believe that change is possible. You start shrinking your dreams to fit your environment. Instead of expanding your environment to match your dreams, perhaps the danger of stagnation is that it robs the world of the fruit you are meant to produce. A tree that refuses to grow will never bear fruit. And when you refuse to grow, the people who are supposed to benefit from your life go without. Stagnation doesn't just affect you. This is why you must confront it with urgency. You cannot make peace with stagnation. You cannot excuse it or justify it. You must break it. Sometimes that means shaking up your routine, taking risks, exposing yourself to new environments, or challenging yourself to think differently. Movement is the antidote to stagnation. The moment you take one step forward, you disrupt its grip. You were never created to stand still. You were created to multiply, to expand, to keep pressing toward the fullness of who you are. Stagnation is dangerous because it convinces you to waste the most precious gift you have, time. And once time is gone, it cannot be recovered. The longer you delay, the more destiny you forfeit. That is why growth cannot wait for a perfect moment. Growth begins the moment you decide that standing still is no longer an option. The beauty of growth is that it does not leave you where it found you. Every time you choose to rise, every time you decide to shed what no longer fits, every time you dare to step into a higher version of yourself, there is a reward. The reward is not just in what you gain externally, but in who you become internally. Growth transforms you from the inside out, shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, freer, and more fulfilled. Influence. The reward of becoming is freedom. You no longer live trapped in the limitations of your past. You stop being held hostage by fear, by failure, by the opinions of others. You experience the liberty of walking in alignment with your purpose. Freedom is not simply doing whatever you want. It is becoming who you are truly. Created to be, nothing compares to the joy of waking up and knowing you are living as the best version of yourself. The reward of becoming is fulfillment. There is a deep satisfaction that comes when your life begins to bear fruit, when your gifts are being used, when your days are filled with meaning. Instead of emptiness, money, fame, and recognition can never fill the void that only purpose can. But when you outgrow who you used to be, you step into a life where even the challenges carry a sense of significance because you know they are shaping you into more. The reward of becoming is influenced. As you grow, others are inspired to grow. Your courage becomes a seed in someone else's life. Your story becomes proof that change is possible. The fruit you produce becomes nourishment for those around you. Becoming is never just about you. It multiplies outward, creating a ripple effect that touches lives you may never even meet. The reward of becoming is a legacy. When you refuse to stay small, when you step boldly into your calling, you leave behind more than possessions. You leave behind an impact. Your children, your friends, your community, and even generations after you will be shaped by the decisions you make to grow. Legacy is not built in a moment. It is built into the daily choices to become more than you were yesterday. And the reward of becoming is joy. The joy of looking back and realizing you did not waste your potential. The joy of knowing you stretched yourself, you embraced change, and you refused to settle. It is the joy of completion. The sense that you poured out everything inside you, that you live full and will die empty, leaving nothing undone. Becoming is costly. It will ask you to leave behind comfort, face fears, and endure seasons of stretching, but the reward is worth it. Because in the end, what you gain is not just achievements. It is a new you, a version of yourself that reflects your true potential, carries your true purpose, and lives your true destiny. The greatest reward is not what you get, it's what you become. It is who you become. Every seed was created to grow. Every life was created to expand. And every one of us was created to become more than who we used to be. The question is not whether you can grow. The question is whether you will choose to, because destiny is waiting. The purpose is waiting. You owe it to yourself to outgrow your past. You owe it to your future to step into the next version of yourself. And you owe it to the world to release the gifts locked inside of you. The worst thing you can do is die the same person you were 20 years ago, carrying to the grave the potential you refuse to use. So today, make a decision. Refuse to settle. Refuse to stay small. Refuse to let fear, comfort, or stagnation hold you back. Step boldly into growth, into transformation, into destiny, because the world does not need who you used to be. The world needs who you are becoming. And when your time on earth is finished, may it be said of you, this was a person who outgrew every limitation, who lived fully, who gave their all, and who became everything they were. Created to be, that is the reward of outgrowing yourself. That is the power of becoming, and that is the legacy you were born to